The Gift. Forgiveness the village could not open. A mountain village of 40 miles from the Rio Grande is held back in time and made suddenly visible by a stranger who falls from the sky. Pedro is 9, rootless and habitually looking up at the stars. His gaze is the only aperture that can receive what arrives without first making it an enemy. A wounded traveler who calls himself Mr. Williams staggers into the bar and is tended by the village doctor while the rest of the town organizes its defenses. 2 bullets are removed from flesh that should have bled out hours before, and the mystery of survival is witnessed with both curiosity and dread. Williams carries a small sealed envelope, a trivial object in form, enormous in consequence, in meaning. He gives the envelope to Pedro and asks that it be shown to the doctor later, promising explanation in time. The village supplies a vocabulary of suspicion long before it reads a single sentence of what the stranger has offered. Soldiers are summoned, ancient reflexes of tribal safety are engaged, and fear translates novelty into threat. Pedro reaches for the stranger, while adults reach for weapons. Innocence and instrumentality collide in the same motion. The villagers decide that protection requires annihilation of the unknown, and they commit a ritual to prove their safety by fire. They toss the envelope into flame and watch paper become ash, as if the deed itself were proof of moral and social rectitude. What is burned is paper. What is crucified is the community's willingness to be undone by mercy. When the doctor recovers a charred corner and reads aloud the fragment, the irony becomes an indictment. Greetings to the people of Earth. We come as friends and in peace. A final line uncovered names a cure, a vaccine against all forms of cancer, while the rest of the instructions are gone forever in smoke. The town has not merely killed a man, it has extinguished the possibility contained in a sentence before the sentence could be understood. The outer scene is a parable of the inner mechanics of grievance. To maintain an identity founded on attack, the self will incinerate whatever undoes that architecture. A Course in Miracles teaches that forgiveness undoes the belief in attack, which is the source of the sense of separation, and that undoing is the single practical miracle required. Forgiveness is therefore not sentiment, but a metaphysical operation that removes the problem the ego uses to create itself. Here in miniature, a village chooses selfhood over healing by ritualistically rejecting a remedy offered in humility. The doctor can stitch flesh but cannot force the mind to receive what would render grievance pointless. Pedro, who watches the stars and offers no precondition of safety, functions as the bridge between form and content. His openness is the instrument of recognition. Williams, who asks only that the gift be shown to one willing to understand, plays the role of messenger and mirror both. When society's anxiety triumphs, the message burns and the memory of the message haunts the very minds that sought to destroy it. The paradox is ancient. Killing the messenger never kills the meaning, because meaning rests in perception rather than in paper. Yet the communal act of burning is more than symbolic spectacle. It is a deliberate reinforcement of the very wound the town believes must be preserved. Holding a grievance secures identity. Releasing it dissolves the scaffolding that supports the separate self. Thus the village chooses to be right rather than healed, to keep the story that validates suffering rather than accept a correction that would render the story meaningless. That choice is the drama Serling stages. Fear consumes the document that could alter the course of bodily suffering, and in the process it exposes the deeper disease that is denial of unity. The burned instructions point like a smoldering finger to a deeper prescription. If acceptance of love is the cure, then fear is the pathology that prevents its application. Pedro's simple hand remains the final image. an open palm toward a future that will require more than explanation. It will require willingness. The strangers lament that if God himself visited, the same terror would greet him, reframes the villagers' act as the same sacrificial violence performed across epochs. Christ is mocked by history and honored in thought. The paradox is that persecution often propels the idea it attempts to extinguish into greater presence. The gift asks whether safety is truly obtained by rejecting the miracle that undoes the need for safety. The answer offered in the episode is tragic and indicting. The town preserves a wounded identity at the expense of a universal remedy. To read the story inwardly is to see how often the personal ritual of refusal is enacted. A letter burned, a kindness preemptively judged, a forgiveness postponed indefinitely. The invitation remains. A willingness to open, to receive, to let form be a vehicle rather than a barricade. Rod Serling might close by observing that the most ordinary place is always capable of dramatic failure when fear governs the imagination, and that the true cost of such failure is measured in dreams extinguished and futures foreclosed. The gift. Forgiveness the village could not open.